Well, good evening and welcome to yet another edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Basin, joined by co-host Dennis Brown, and we're joined by a fellow teammate of Mr. Brown, Mr. Kevin Bailey. Kevin, obviously, you had the pleasure of being in a locker room with someone like Dennis, but today is going to be a day where we're going to put Dennis on the spot because you're going to reveal a lot of stuff about Dennis in the change room that a lot of people wouldn't have known. But thank you very much for joining. And being that your teammates, Dennis, I'll let you go first, but not to worry. We're going to get to you.
Yes, so just welcome Kevin to the show. Kevin's someone I grew up with in the same neighborhood in my early years, and I learned a lot in that neighborhood. One of the things I learned was to toughen up. Most of the time I was the youngest, playing football and cricket, and it was you get knocked on. There's nobody helping you up. Get up and suck it up, and you know what I mean. And that neighborhood around Manchester Street, really shaped me to the sportsman that I am, that I became, even football and cricket. And Kevin was a part of that because Kevin was, a little older than me, and he looked out for the younger guys in the neighborhood. So it's a pleasure to have, Kevin on her. He was a, great teammate. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we won so much with Somerset, and there's nothing like, winning with, people that you grew up with. So welcome to the show, Bills.
Thank you, Dennis and Earl, for having me tonight.
Yeah. Kevin, as Dennis has indicated, you guys kind of grew up together, but where did you get your start, or when did you get your start in Somerset?
Okay. Well, in terms of football, my football career or whatever, like mostly everyone else, started in primary school. And I went to a primary school that's no longer in existence. It's called Birds Island School, which was right behind Woodis, where the Condos are now. And that was my introduction to football. A PE teacher was an Englishman by the name of Martin Wilkinson. And at that school, my peers, my teammates for life, Steve Riley and Curtis Bell, that was the beginning of their union, along with Kelly Simmons.
Okay, all right. And obviously you
and
moved
above
on.
us, yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, before Somerset, my first coach outside of my PE teacher was a St. George's man. Beezer Smith. Yeah, no doubt. The mini micro league done at Bernard Park. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I think the Cauldron twins talked about it when they were on. We had players, young men, boys from all over the island, playing at Bernard Park every Saturday.
Right.
And they picked the teams, and then I ended up playing for Nottingham Forest, which knew. So Beezer Smith was the coach, and Stevie Dixon was her teammate. Stevie Dixon,
right?
Frankie Greaves, Carlos Greaves, Cooper, and Anderson. So my introduction.
Oh, wow!
Now I see why you benefited how you did. You had all that influence from a young age, and it just
Whoa.
Yeah, that was the first year down at the park. Second year, they sort of like switched up, put all the Somerset guys together. But that initial, I worked on, previously I worked at Rexon Engineering with, and Sabizarek works in engineering. And he, one day he pulled out this picture off the team. And I said, and I think he gave me a copy, but I can't put my hands on it. He still might have a copy of that team at that time. And that's where Stevie Dixon and I became good friends back then. And of course, one of my main rivals, we battled hard against each other.
Right. Well, I've been afforded the opportunity to just trying to get it here. Hold on a sec. This will be the, if I don't have too many of them. Are you referring to this photo right here? Oh, that's the school photo. That's the school photo.
That was Bears Island.
Bears Island. We can see Bumler there holding. Is that Bumler holding the shield?
Yep.
Yeah, the shield. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where would you be?
Raleigh.
I see Stevie. I holding
I'm
the
on
trophy.
Okay, you see Stevie. Then the next guy, that's Antoine Simons, and I'm next to him on the end.
Okay.
We sort of would line up in the picture how we played. We used to play 5 up top. I played left wing.
Whoa.
Yeah, back then they were in the midfield.
No structure.
Yeah, it wasn't midfield. We had 3 guys in midfield. And I mean, you know, if you see in the picture, Phil Simons, he was a big guy
out the back.
next to the coach. So
Okay.
he played in the center of the defense by himself. And Phil, hey, back to the advantage, you know. And
nobody comes up the middle.
Yeah, his Gregory Reb Simons' brother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody coming up the middle, man.
Not at all. Who was the goalkeeper back then in that team?
Carlisle Quackle.
Oh.
Then went to play. Started out at Somerset, then went on to play for PAC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, and as you can see, the trophies we was accustomed winning from a young age. We was Triple Crown champions at the same time the Trojans were. So, in primary school.
Okay. You dominated the West. I see Dennis is quiet. Dennis is quiet.
We had that winning mentality early. And just we never used to play West End was in the other side of the league.
Yeah, we never played Bears.
Yeah, we never played Bears Island, but at one stage we did play West End. And it was Steve Riley against Glenn Riley. But we came out on top.
Yeah.
The one-off game we had against West End. We beat West End.
Not to stray away from football, but why did they close Bears Island?
When they integrated the schools.
Oh, okay.
Everybody that was still they integrated with Sands Grammar, which is Somerset Primary today. So that's why Bears Island closed. And Bears Island was initially built because there was so many children in Somerset, so they needed an overflow. And Bears Island became the overflow, and also a lot of families, I think after the Royal Navy guys moved out of Dockyard, moved into Dockyard. So hence you had Courage Bowles, Lou Simmons, Troy Barclays, Jay Simonses, and all them guys. They came from over the bridge.
Right.
As we used to say.
Right. Now, one of the things is that a lot of guys grow up with getting a nickname, but we outside of Somerset don't know what yours is. What do you have one?
Admiral.
Oh, okay.
Admiral Bailey.
Admiral Bailey.
But Dennis Brown has a special one for me, and is the only one that calls me this. This is
I call him Chifty Bailey.
A nickname Dennis gave me. Chifty.
Call him, what's that?
Chifty Bailey. Yeah. I never asked him why you gave me the name, but I suspect this. I probably used to chip the ball up a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, he is very good at chipping. Very good. Chifty. Still call it Chifty right up to today.
Well, one of the things, I mean, you guys seem to like no matter who came into that team during your successful runs, everybody just seemed to blend in and do their job kind of thing. How did you see it once you started to get involved in that team and then kind of cement your place?
In the first team, Somerset's
Yeah,
first team.
Somerset's first team, yeah.
Well, we at Somerset, we had a very successful youth program, particularly run by Mr. Lionel Turner. He put together, well, he was approached by Mr. Clyde Philpott at the time, who was the treasurer, I believe, of Somerset Cricket Club, in implementing a youth structure to have their continuity for the the Triple Crown team per se, who were starting to fade away. But in Somerset, he put together a youth program and was very instrumental in forming the community league, which Dennis and I and everybody else, all the young guys at Somerset were part of. And in Somerset, like Dennis was telling you about our neighborhood, which consists of Dennis, myself, his brother Richard, Perry Machacha Scott, George Bella, Richie Bella, Anthony and David Tucker.
Your brother.
And Dennis, my brother, Anthony. And when you talk about guys getting toughened up, Dennis could tell you about Anthony and David Tucker. they basically had no football skills, but we had to let them play, and that's how we learned to evade tackles and everything.
Yep.
We otherwise you just get played. But yeah. So when it came to in Somerset, we had different areas of Somerset, and we used to go out and play different areas of Somerset, and along with the community league and with the club structure, we all knew each other, and we all battled against each other. So we knew what the program was per se. We tried.
It's interesting, Dennis and Kevin. You guys had a community league. St. George's had the Eastern Soccer League, but we still had teams, the same amount of teams, if not just a few more, in the Bermuda Football Association. How interesting is that? Because, I mean, the Eastern Soccer League had almost 12 to 14 teams, and you guys' community league had similar numbers. Because you had guys coming from White Hill to play as well, didn't you?
Yeah, they were to play for Harbor. We had four teams.
Right.
Harbor, Portland Square, the Hill, and Island Falcons. I played for well, I think they changed. Somebody
Manchester left. Manchester left, after 2 years or so.
Manchester, because when I got Earl to play in the community league, I coached Manchester with Dennis, my brother, cousin Johnny Vickers, and we won the league. Remember that, Dennis?
Yes. Yeah.
Community league that year. But as far as getting into the first team, what we used to do, we used to have the Bermuda Football Association at the time had a very good junior league, right? And we used to play before the first team on Sundays.
Yeah.
And we guys, after we finished playing, we used to stay right along in the changing room and learn and feed off the senior players, see what the strategy is, see how they interacted, see what they talked about at halftime at the game, bringing the way and whatnot. And these guys were our heroes, I look around, I see George Springman, Richard Simmons, Rudy Miners, Larry Hunt, and all that. And you just sit there and you're just in awe of these guys.
Right.
And, and when I first came into the team, that's how I was. I was like, it was like a dream come true for me, because No, I'm amongst my heroes.
Mm.
Sitting in the same room, changing room, suited up, and saying, yeah, her, and Kenny Cam was the coach when I first came in, and Somerset had a very bad start that year. We were actually second from the bottom, and so they made a change. And Horton took over. Kenny
Mm.
stepped up, and Randy Horton took over, and he saw that he needed to make some changes, and he wanted some new energy in the team. And he gave me, my first start. I had made a couple of under Kenny. I had made a couple of substitute appearances against, I think, two. One was against Centaurs at the time down at Rangers, and we lost that game. We was losing that game at 3-0. We ended up losing 3-2. The final score ended up being 3-2 to them. And then we lost to, I came on in another game. I can't remember who it was. But my first start was against PHC. And we won that game 5-0. So it's first game with the changes. He brought me and Michael Lopes in.
Right.
Michael Lopes in at fullback, brought me in at the midfield, and had me playing on the right side with Courage, who I played with through primary school, a little junior bowl, and the first team. So I've always been familiar with Courage's game,
Right.
and all that.
Right.
When people say I used to run a lot, had a lot of energy. Courage had a lot of energy. And if you had ever seen Birds Island's field, it's that big field that's behind Wooders.
Yes.
We used to play on a big field. So we had to get up and down that field. So I think that's where our reeds came from, per se.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, Dennis, you're up with Kevin.
Cool.
We'll be right back.
We're welcoming back the often featured Whole Food veterans Bragg Live Food Products, renowned for their live probiotic organic raw cider vinegar and savory seasonings. Paul Bragg is the man behind the products and has originated health food stores, restaurants, and spas, and promoted nutrition education through the media, helping lay the foundation for the enlightened way we make healthful choices when we shop for and prepare food. This month we're featuring Bragg Organic Raw and Unfiltered Apple Cider Vinegar and Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Dennis?
Okay. So, Mr. Turner, Mr. Lionel Turner was probably a big influence on most of us of that generation coming through. And I always thought, I always say they need to name a real close to Somerset Cricket Club after Mr. Turner, because he was that influential in developing Somerset's program. What I remember, like it was yesterday, is and Somerset was the first youth explosion. I remember that when Horton took over, us still in the junior team then, and he brought through guys like Kevin. I think Lou was in goal. That team right there, that's the youth team that traveled to UK, right, Kevin? To England. That was a very, very good under 18 Somerset team. I think O'Hara was probably the oldest one right there, but that was an excellent Somerset under 18 team, and most of those guys went through to play for the first team a couple of years after that. That was an excellent team right there.
Right.
So, what was it like, Bills, for you to come in at that time? And how old were you, like 16, 17 when you first came in?
I was 18.
Okay,
18 because the only one that moved up to the first team at 16 was Courage.
Okay.
When we guys came back from England, they
Okay.
they pushed Coolidge up because Kenny Campbell was also along with Mr. Turner and Mr. Philpott. So they pushed Coolidge up, and the rest of us played junior bowl till we was 18. That was the age limit. Then
Okay.
you moved up to the first team. So it was 18 when I started out.
So who came through with you once you made your senior debut? I believe Lou was in goal. Lou was in goal?
Lou.
That was a young
Was
team.
in
I
goal.
think
Yeah, I got that year. It was still a couple of veterans around. It's I'm trying to think now.
George would have still
Up
been
front, you
around.
had
George was still there.
yeah, George. It was George, Keith Simmons. Oh, I can't forget my mate, one of my favorite old time players, Keith Simmons. Keith
Yep,
Simmons. You
center
had
back.
Larry. Yeah,
Right.
Lou. Michael Lopes. Myself. I was playing in midfield with Dirt. And George. No, George was up front. And trying to think who else was in midfield.
I believe Rudy Miners was still playing there.
Yeah, Minus was still playing.
Yeah.
Tricks.
Bernard
Bernard.
Yeah,
Dillon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bernard Jordan. Then I'm going to just jump forward a little because I can remember the second season's team better than the first team. Second season, Horton played me and we played a 4-2-4. Lance Brown and I played in midfield.
Okay, right.
George, Cecil Todd, Tricks, and Bumbler played up front.
Whoa.
Then you have Michael Lewis, Minus, Keith, and Larry. Yeah.
Let me ask, because you guys said a name just now that I know. I admired this guy as a player, the way he used to play, and that's Bernard Dillon. What was he like in the team?
Excellent striker, excellent target. When you talk about a target man, Nardi was an excellent target man. Good in the air, good shot, decent on the ground. You know, I wouldn't say he was in the same mood as Albert, his brother, but they both of them were very good headers of the ball. And unfortunately for Spook, we called him Spook, he was plagued by a lot of injuries. So it never seemed like he got a full season in, you know. But at the times that he played, he was very valuable and a great asset as a player, you know. And something we just seem to have players like that could play, you know. I mean, that's how it is. You came up as Dennis could tell you, come up in Somerset, you got that winning mentality ingrained in you from early. You know, and I'm like Dennis said, I said many times, when you used to walk up them steps of the club and you see them pictures, every time I usually walk up them steps and look at them pictures and see that silverware in front of their Triple Crown champion team, I said, that's what I want. That's what I want to emulate, you know? And of course, Somerset has the most critical fans in the world. And I used to, not used to that. So, you know, hey, I'm gonna tell you, we had, you know, I love Somerset fans to death, but when you know, they will let you know. I think the two when they want to.
Yeah. That's one of the things I told Jomar coming into Somerset as a coach. So I told him a couple of times I felt like leaving the bench and running upstairs and up on the porch. But you know, that because Somerset fans are very demanding. Demanding. I mean, even though the team is not as successful as it was years ago, they still demand, they still have those demands on the team. So that's one of the things Jamal Hill recognized very early.
Air plus, Air plus. We're Air plus.
Yeah, you need more than
And
Air plus up there.
right. And I'm gonna give you a little tidbit story. When I first came up into the team, people do it like he has the audacity. A lot of people were upset. I had the audacity to be wearing the number 7 shirt,
Ooh.
which was Richard Dutch Simmons' number.
Yeah.
Right? Now I played Junior Bowl. I wore 7. And Richard Simmons was my idol. Oh, he knew this. He was my idol. I know what I did. When I first came in, he scored. He came in the change room. He picked up the jersey, and he drew it to me. Here, 7's for you. But the fans didn't know that. They like, what? This guy just coming out here wearing number 7. And all that. And Dirk wore 17. He wore 17.
Right.
He gave me 7. Okay. But a lot of people don't know he gave me the number 7 jersey to wear. Otherwise, I would have took a number, another number. But he was my idol, even before George. He was my idol. And just like when late Colin, former president, Smith took over as manager, I think I might miss a little preseason or whatever. But when it came to issuing out the numbers, this particular season, he gave number 7 to Kenny Thompson.
Right.
He gave me number 6. Right. I didn't say nothing. I said, okay, but I told him, you know what? I said, I can't wear number 6 after George Springer. I can't wear number 6.
Sure,
so I wore 7. Yeah, I wore 17. So it was like what goes around comes around to a certain degree.
Yeah. Dennis?
So what was it like playing with guys like, because Horton was still playing, now and then.
Yeah.
Rudy Minus, Clyde used to come back. I remember those days. Clyde used to come back. Thomas used to fly him in for big games. You say you play with Dirt, and God bless his soul, mate Lance Brown, who was always lively in the changing room. What was it like to represent Somerset with all that quality in the team? What was that like?
That was like a dream come true. That was the ultimate for me. And all I did, I didn't have to play for Bermuda. I played for Somerset. That was my mentality. To me, Somerset was the ultimate, and it was great. That I had the opportunity. I'm glad that I was blessed with the opportunity to play with all their heroes, all my heroes. The Triple Crown team was my heroes. I'm talking about Larry Hunt, Roger Hunt, George Sprayman, Dirk Simmons, played with Horton. I mean, being on this field at the same time. Played with Clyde. Actually, one of my most memorable games was out Devonshire Rec. He was playing Warwick United in a Mortimer game, and they had us 3-0. And we came back and beat them 4-3. And it was an earn goal, and I scored, George and Clyde. So, just to be on the field and score in the same game as those guys, it's like, wow,
Wow.
But it was awesome, And when I first came into the changing room, what could I say? I couldn't say nothing, even though I was a starter. What can I say to all these great veterans around me? What can I say? Put my imprint on the game or whatnot. I just had to sit there and be quiet and listen and learn.
And that's one of the things I tell people today. Like when you came in, and then when I came in at my age, I had no say. The older guys tell you what to do, and that was it. Like you had no right to question anything they say. You just had to come in and do your job. You know what I mean? And it's changed today because the young guys are no different today.
Yeah.
But
And
back in those days.
and I wonder what, and I wonder what it's like in these guys' change rooms today, because under Horton, you didn't say nothing unless he
Yeah,
asked
you
you.
could.
So, and if he asks you anything like that, dude, you keep your mouth shut.
Yep, that's it.
And that's how it was. We was a very disciplined team, and Horton ensured that discipline. And my skipper there, he could tell you, he was still in school, but he was playing. But we got a game on PHC. Horton game, yeah, you guys, Sanders won't be playing tonight. He acted up in school today.
Yeah, I didn't act up no more after that.
Lesson learned, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that was my lesson right there.
Yeah.
I wish he had put the cane on me, man. That helped me more than putting the cane on me.
Yeah. But
we're going to take another commercial break. We're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, Kevin, I want you to tell me what Dennis was like when he first came into the changing room of Somerset Trojans. We'll be right back.
We're spotlighting our old friends Woodstock Farms, who started up 50 years ago in the belief that we need more trustworthy natural food sources. Starting with one product, their line, mostly certified organic, is now more than 250 strong in 10 categories. This month we're featuring accoutrements of the barbecue, for us the pinnacle of home cuisine and one of the few forms of restorative recreation now within our reach. Try Woodstock Organic Sweet Relish, Tomato Ketchup, Baby Kosher Dill Pickles, Sauerkraut, and Hickory and Original Barbecue Sauce. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, Kevin, what was Dennis like as a 16-year-old coming into the Somerset team?
Well, I even go before then. When we used to play their neighborhood games, Dennis, as he stated, he was the youngest and all that there. And I always had Dennis on my team that I could remember, because Dennis was, to me, beyond his years. He had a maturity for a young guy. He was, quite tall for his age and all that. He was athletic and all that. I believe you held the long jump record for your age at one stage, right, Dennis?
Yeah, 18 feet at 11 years old.
Right, and all that there. So it wasn't a matter, for me, it was only a matter of time. It wasn't going to take Dennis that long
Right.
to get on the team. And it so happens that happenstance, his time may have come a little earlier than probably anticipated, because I think the season before that, did you play in the UWB hotels for the league?
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't play that game, but I was injured.
No, I'm just trying to think. Right. Okay. I'm just trying to think, because Glurb came in too.
Glurb came just before me.
Right.
And then I
came just
came.
before you, and he got injured.
Glurb and Keith got injured. Keith Simmons got injured.
Right.
And that's where I got pushed forward, and then the rest is history. Because I said once I'm at the end, I'm not like nobody. That was it.
Dennis was like a duck to water. Just came right in, done what has always done. Didn't have no fear, no nervousness or nothing. Just done what he knew how to do, and done it throughout his whole career. It's a great,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you made up a formidable force with the likes of Stevie, Lance, Kelly. What was those guys like when you guys were like gelling together?
Oh. Well, it was with Stevie and Kelly Courage. We guys knew each other's game through Birds Island, through junior football, and we, although we had good performances on the field, we worked very hard off the field. We done extras, me, Stevie, we'd be down in the club through the week, in the afternoon, or whenever we had free time, we try to work things out. And it It was just we
You
just
weren't
had
as brave. You weren't as brave as Bumler because Bumler was on here telling us that he was running around with blocks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bumler, man, Bumler was saying half these stuff. He said that was the first for me. First time hearing it too. But and because everybody seemed to have a great work ethic, and for me, lunch times at Sam's, we guys used to go down Simmons's, buy our lunch, and come and sit over the club, and her would be George and Tricks up and down the field, up and down the steps, sprinting. And so that was the standard that we had to, aspire to. Their guys had a standard, and we had to come up to that standard if we want to be part of the team. And the year we came back from England in junior football, we wiped the board clean. We didn't lose again. We didn't draw again. It was all victories. We won the Western Division. We won the knockout. We won the All Ireland, where we played the champions of the East.
Mm-hmm.
And the next season, we dropped one. We lost one. We won 3. And so what we had in the junior league, we just brought into the first team.
Mm-hmm.
And Horton, he balanced the team out. We have 5 youngsters and 5 veterans. And that FA final, when we beat Cougars 4-0, you had Courage, Bell, Kelly Simmons, Steve Riley, Michael Oakes, and myself. These are all teenagers.
Right.
These are all 19. So then you had the veterans. Then you had Keith, George,
Tricks.
Tricks was injured again. He didn't play. And Dirt. Me, Stevie, and Dirt started in midfield.
Okay.
And Kelly, George, and Bumler was up top. Lou and Girl. Mine started left back. Keith and Larry and Michael.
Right.
But then Charlie Fox came on for Miners, I believe.
Right.
In that game.
Because I believe that was 4-0 halftime or something like that.
Yeah.
Was it?
What's it 4-0?
3-0 or something like that. I know it was a big score at halftime.
I think it was 4-0. We just ran out the blocks. And the following week, that year the FA was before the friendship because Hardy Dates, something happened, Hardy Dates. So Dirk got injured. I think Lance came on, and Lance started the next the friendship final against PAC, and we beat PAC 4-1.
Right.
Yeah, it was PAC.
Right.
Stevie, I was disappointed that I didn't score because Stevie and Chris scored, and that was the clear. Stevie scored great, but I did set Stevie up. He struck this. I gave him a crossfield ball, and he struck it on the run, about 25 yards out. Drew Beaver for us.
Yeah. How competitive was training?
Whoa. Teeth knocked out everything.
Oh, yeah. Training was serious. You couldn't slacken off. You couldn't slacken off. Guys train out when they're playing and training, and you had to show up and be on time. If you didn't, show up in training, don't think you're playing or getting any score. That wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
And Somerset, we had so many guys to choose from. We had our first division team, our reserve team actually played in the first division.
Right.
And actually one year they won or could have got promoted,
Yeah, but
so we were that strong. Yeah, they couldn't come up. I think the only way they could have came up is Somerset got relegated. I think they could have came up because they're under the same club.
Right.
And just looking back, man, like you said, like the intensity level of the training sessions were unbelievable. Like, because a lot of the times, like the first team used to play against the second team, and the second team used to give us a run for our money and sometimes beat us sometimes. So we'll naturally take that intensity level right into the Sunday matches and, be successful. Like, because like Kevin said, like you had to prepare some training because training was that intense. Like, you didn't
Yeah.
want to miss matches because of injury and stuff like that. So, it was very intense, and nobody, saying sorry for kicking you and all that because everybody wants to play. So
Yeah.
that those were some beautiful years,
Yeah.
man.
Both
And I
you
ran.
guys have mentioned Horton played in the Cosmos. Uh, Clyde Best played at West Ham. When you guys are on the field with these type of guys, and both of you are young men, um, did you have a sense of standing and watching what they were able to do with the ball on the field?
Yeah, for me, I always watch George. Well, George, when I first came in, I was playing in midfield with George, and he used to direct me a lot. He used to tell me if I was playing too wide, tuck in. I'm not playing right wing. And he just led by example, and I just watched George, watch the runs that he used to make, and try to make the same runs myself. I always watch players that played in the position that I played in, just so I could see what they do and see if I could use it to enhance my game.
Mm.
But at the same time, I still want to be my own self,
Right.
Yeah.
What
then
about you, Dennis?
with
You were
me,
really young coming into that team.
with me, the person that really, really nurtured me when I first came into the team was Larry Simmons.
Mm.
When I came in, Larry was playing, and I came in, and that's when they had like a sweeper system and two fullbacks, and I was actually the marking center back then. And Larry, and I'm grateful to Larry right up to today for for bringing me through, my first couple of years in the first team, because and like Kevin said, like the older guys in the team then really guided you, like let you know where you needed to be, and and coming in, Miss Minus was still playing when I played, and George gave you so much information to keep the game simple, but Larry
Yeah.
was the one who really, you know, took me by the horns, and made me do a lot of things that I was as a player. So
Right.
I'm very grateful for Larry, and I always said that he was a unsung hero in Somerset
Mm.
because he was very
Mhm.
consistent, whether he played center back or fullback, and and in my estimation, he was very underrated coming through. But
Yeah.
we had so
Hmm.
much I mean, like you said, coming into the team, you just had to do your job. Like
Right.
you couldn't
And
be
right.
arrogant, and I
Right.
was a top
And
player. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Everybody had a role to play, and when I came into the team, um, if I wanted to stay here, I had to play my role. And my role on the Horton was you win the ball, you give it to George, give it to Bumler. I don't want you carrying the ball, I don't want you dribbling the ball, and all. So I had to play my role. And I think
Right.
players today don't understand what the role is in the team
hmm
until such time that, things change and all that there. But right now, this is what your role is. And your role is win the ball, give it to George, George, Bumler. Of course, if it's a pass on somewhere else and all that, but that was my primary job.
Mm.
That was
Mm.
my primary role in the team as a ball winner.
Right.
And just talking to George's brother Bernard just recently, Father's Day and all that there. He uh, told me that he feels that I never played to my full potential because I didn't play in the right position.
Mm.
And he would have used me center midfield, defensive midfield, center midfield defense. But, I couldn't agree with him because I had too much attack in my mind. I want to go forward. I'm a player that likes to go forward. I like the open space. Go. And he said that was his biggest mistake when he coached Somerset and they lost the lead by 1 goal to Hotels. on goal difference. That year he played Dirk, defensive midfield, and he should have played him more in a number 10 role. But Dirk had a great shot. He is
Yeah, for sure. For
anywhere
sure.
20, 25 yards out, but he held Dirk back. So he said that was one of his biggest, regrets in football, that Dirk made him play that role as a defensive midfield player. But I always saw myself as a, after initially as a box-to-box midfield player. I put my goal scoring record up against any other midfielder around here, and I'm just there, I scored a lot of match winners for Somerset, Hotels, and Village.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna name a player
Mm-hmm.
and describe this player to me, because I talk about this player right up to today. I even had a conversation with him today and tell him, how much I appreciated him as a teammate and what he did for me. Describe Stevie Riley as a player.
Well, if Brandon said I didn't play to my full potential, Steve Riley has so much ability, naturally gifted. Out of all we guys, Courage, Stevie, Kelly, Steve Riley was the best, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He was a natural. Speed, power, leaping ability. He had it all. I mean, he was like, as a pair, he was my hero.
And one of the things I tell people about Stevie was that Stevie was probably one of the best off the ball runners, of our time, because he reminded me a lot about Kenny Burke too. But Stevie was exceptional, and Stevie held you accountable, because I remember if anything happened at the back, and if it's not even my fault, Steve is on me to make sure that the defenders did, he wouldn't show that Goody or Larry or, his on me. So it's a trickle down effect. Okay, so if Steve is on me, you guys need to make sure you do your, you know what I mean? And Stevie really held everybody accountable, and Stevie was a good teammate, man. And even in his later years coming through, he was a super sub. Like he never complained coming off the bench, and every time you bring Stevie on, magic happens. You know what I mean? And his, like I tell him today, he is probably one of my best teammates that I played with, because of what he brought to the table, man, was unbelievable. So Kevin, so Dales, where did you get? Because like you say, like you were like box to box, like unbelievable, you had the energy of like the guy Conte, but you also had the attacking ability to get in the box and score some vital goals. Like where did that it was like a killer instinct for the whole game. Like where did that come from?
Well, like one of the things I learned coming through and all that there, and from various different coaches, and was always try to make yourself available to the man the ball, or every run. I used to make runs sometimes, not necessarily to get the ball, but just to be a distraction and open up space for someone else, And as far as getting in the box, I always look for that little loose ball, Just put yourself in position. Anything could happen, So if I'm hanging back and the ball's getting played in the box and it breaks loose, but I can't get to it because I haven't, put myself in position. But you put yourself in position, you give yourself a high chance of getting a shot in or goal, or help to create a goal, But I just had a natural appetite. I think it was my diet because when I came up as a teenager, I came up off of cereal and a lot of sugar. So, I think that's what.
You couldn't
I
stop
I
running
eat
there. You
nothing
couldn't
else.
stop.
I eat sweet cereal. I put sugar on sweet cereal.
Right.
You know,
Cream and stuff like that.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go
yeah.
back to a game. We had to beat Hotels in the final game of the season at Somerset. I think Hotels were leading us by 1 point or something like that. And we had to beat Hotels to win the league.
Mm-hmm.
I was injured that last game of the season. So everybody
Right.
told me Somerset is going to lose because Brown ain't playing. Describe that game and, the feeling after the game, the euphoria after the game, once you won that game, because I think you scored the winner. You
Yeah.
scored the winner? Right. So describe that feeling, like, going into the game, knowing, what had to happen, and then once it
Right.
happened, what it felt like after that.
Well, the morning I stopped on the morning of the game. I really mentally prepared for myself because, as you know, the first 2 years of the triple, I wasn't part of that. Of Somerset Mini League 3 years in a row. I never played on the minors because I got suspended for a year. So I
So,
missed the season, first season that we won the league back. The second season, um, Hotels came in from Graham Williams, who was at Somerset at one stage.
Mhm.
Came to me, approached me with, various other people from Hotels because I was coming back in the game now. I was off suspension. And there's very much interested in me, come play for Hotels. So I had a long summer to think about it. So I ended up playing for Hotels that season, and Somerset won again. So, and them 2 years, Minus was coach. So the third year, I think Minus stepped on and Randy came back.
Horton was Horton. Yeah, Horton was the
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, Horton. So of course Horton came back in for me, and I wasn't going to come back, because something happened something personal between me and the club during that stage that didn't take too kindly. So I sort of like wasn't feeling Somerset for a little bit at that stage, but I came back. So the morning in this game, I really mentally prepared myself. I went to see my grandma, who was an inspiration to me, and all that. And after seeing her, had breakfast. Then I went down Navalfield. And Willicots were training cricket. So I sat down Navalfield watching them train cricket just so I won't, get the game, play the game before it's played, and be mentally tired. So I just wanted to take my mind off the game for a little bit. So when I finally came up the club and then in the changing room, I said, yeah, this is it. It's business today. We only got one shot. We need a victory. Hotels just need a draw. And the opportunity came early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Early in the game. It was in the 3rd minute that I scored. So it was I think it came from a throw-in. And the ball was thrown to Muchachos, Perry Scott, as I think of it. And my brother took it off him. This was out on the left, because both of them guys are left-footed. And my brother swung in the cross, and I done one of my usual blind side runs. So I was over on the right side, and Codwell would mark me. So I made a little dash to the right, then made a dart to the left, towards, the left, and the cross came in, and I met it on the volley. And then I told what I call it a suite. I call it a suite. She struck that roof of the net, and I couldn't even go on a victory, a celebration run. As soon as I turned to run off the field, Perry Scott was there and he gripped me. And you ain't getting over it. Everybody else came in and he actually made me bust my lip. And
that was a beautiful day, man.
So the game had a lot of drama. I mean, Lou Simmons that day was incredible. I saw him pull off a world-class save against Dennis McQuaid. Now, I played with Dennis McQuaid, and I knew when he scored, when he used to shoot that girl, he was always about accuracy. He never stroked the ball real hard. It was all about placement. And he curled this thing to the far post on the outside, curling back in. Just coming inside the post. And Lou made a leap across that girl, got his fingertips to that ball and turned it on the post. And if I say what won us the league that year, it was the defense, Lou and the defense, Dennis and them guys. Because I think we only let in about 9 girls, right, Dennis?
Eight.
Or something?
Eight.
8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah,
And
don't get the teams no more. We let in 8.
and we was winning a lot of 1-0, 2-1 games.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it for the whole season. So we didn't have our usual attack and flirt that season. I guess it was like more like for most of them guys, the rest of the guys, could have been mental fatigue to a certain degree in their third season because they, it ended up being 50 games undefeated, Dennis.
Yeah, 50, yeah.
Basically. And that's a long time.
Yeah.
So you're going in and playing the game and you're carrying that with you into the game too, sometimes. So it's just, sometimes different things come into play mentally.
Some good memories, man. Good memories.
Yeah. And
what was it like playing for other teams, though?
What was it like when you left Somerset? How did the Somerset people treat you? Because I know they could be harsh. How did they treat you when you went to play for Hotel?
Actually, everybody was all right.
Okay.
Yeah. I really didn't. Nobody pointing no fingers at me, and because I think Somerset has so much quality anyhow. So I'm, probably they felt, they won the league twice without me, So I enjoyed playing for Hotels. So when you had Scotty and Ricky on the other night, and you talk about the professional environment,
yes,
it's absolutely correct. Hotels they run themselves like a professional club. And that's what happens when you have football people, around you. They know the ins and outs. Like I said, Dennis McQuaid, Billy Abley, Peacock, them guys are excellent players. And, sometimes playing for another team, you see these guys, you have a perception of them being a certain way. And but actually getting in amongst them, training and playing with them, and all that there, that all goes away. You say, oh, man, it's not what it seemed like it was with these guys, And Sam Newsom was one of the players there. Was telling me, hey, I'm seeing you do, because Hotels really didn't have a field to train in. We trained in Munson Ignis gym.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all indoor, basically.
Wow.
And he said, man, I see you do some things in the gym, man, but I don't see you carrying them on the field. You got to express yourself more, And I thought my game, coming back into the game, went to a next level playing for Hotels.
Yeah.
What was Billy Abbey like as a player, man? As a teammate? That guy was you named two guys, to Billy Epley and Dennis McQuaid, and I rate both those guys as
Right.
two of the best foreign players
Yeah.
that I played
Yeah.
against.
Well, he was a great player, and actually, him and we used to click pretty well because actually, the girls that I schooled for hotels, he set up a couple of them, and so I didn't see what other people used to talk about how he was as a person. I didn't see it, and we got it on. Okay, we got it on well.
mm,
As a matter of fact, coming up in Somerset, youth player and all that there, one guy that came to play for Somerset, and he just blew, like me and Steve, he blew we guys' mind. We saw him controlling the ball, juggling up on his shoulders, and I always had a lot of respect, and he is actually a hero of mine, and it was Eddie Simpson.
mm.
Mm.
Eddie Simpson. He came play before he played for anybody else. They sort of like how when you have block one, they asked him who he should play for. Eddie Simpson was similar then. He was so you should go play for Somerset. They won the top teams, and that's how he came to play for Somerset. But I could also say he took a lot of slams playing for Somerset too. They used to call him the opposing teams used to call him the Great
White
Oak.
Oak. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
White
that. Yeah.
But I enjoyed my time down at hotels, although it was only one season. And and their guys always treated me okay after that. It was Peacock was always classy fella. For the rest.
So tell these Bermuda people your national journey, like in the youth squads. Who was your coach in the youth squads? And then once you got into the national team, who was some of the players that you played with in the youth squad? Who was your coach at that time? And once you got into the national team.
Okay. When it came to the youth squad, when I first joined the youth squad, I wasn't picked. I mean, I didn't even didn't think I was on their guys' level, but Alfie Eve was the coach.
Okay.
And he asked the players, Cruz Bell was in the youth squad, and he asked, "Do you know of any other players that we could add to the training squad?" And Cruz recommended me. I was going to Bermuda College at the time, so they trained in National Stadium. So that was right next door. So my first training session, I came in. I joined up. First training session, 7 little scrimmages. Before the training session began, was little scrimmages, and the national team was also training. So I joined a scrimmage that had Willie Baxter and Randy Bean. And I could not touch the ball. I could not get close to the ball. I was knocking the ball, flicking it that way, and all that there. I was running like that. I couldn't even get a touch, But anyhow, so I started training with the youth squad. I think I was 16. Yeah. And in that squad, you had Dak Scott, you had Park Steele, you had Courage, you had Michael Smith from St. George's, Mouse. He was a great player. Great player.
Mouse was good, yeah.
I tell you, I came up against Mouse sometimes, and when he played for Churchill or Robert Crawford and Valentin, he was a player. You know what I mean? Who else? Scott Gregory, old boy. Mal Bean. David Furtado.
Yeah, but remember David, yeah.
Yeah.
Dougie Braun, that played for BAA.
So did you guys go in that youth team? You went to
Yeah, we went to the CONCACAF youth tournament.
Right.
It was on in Puerto Rico,
Okay.
and we lost 2-1 to Nicaragua and 3-0 to the U.S. So we
Okay.
got knocked out. And then my second youth squad was even better than that one. We had a youth squad that underachieved. We should have done better down in that tournament. And I'm talking about a team, youth team, that beat every first division team prior to going to that tournament. Somerset included.
Hmm.
We was playing training games. And that team consisted of the main three feeders of that team was North Village, Devonshire Coats, and Somerset. I'll start over with Somerset first. Yeah, Michael Lopes, Stevie, Raleigh, Kelly Simmons, George Vella, who's from the alley,
Yep.
Vivian I. Dennis, and myself. From Devonshire Coast, you had Owen Edmond, Stevie Dixon, Spike Richardson, Cleve Beard, Charlie Marshall. I think Anthony Mendes, was he playing for Coach Dan too, or he's playing for
He was at Danny Tom.
Or could
Yeah, but he started out at Coach.
No,
Yeah.
no, as a
Oh, you
youth,
had
as a
Coach.
youth, as a youth, he was at Danny Tom.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
He was
yes,
at
yes.
Danny Tom
Okay.
as a- yeah.
Right.
Right. Done, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Anthony Mendes and Charlie were the two goalkeepers.
Mm.
Then from Village, you had Mal
Clevie
Bean.
Campbell. Clevie Campbell was in that.
No,
team.
Stevie Campbell. Yeah, I forgot Stevie.
Right.
I said
Okay.
Stevie, right? I said Stevie
Yeah.
Dixon,
Yeah,
right?
he said Stevie. Yeah.
Right. North Village, you had Mal Bean, you had Charlie Emery, you had this guy Mike Rogers, guy King Todd, and you also had guy Philip Smith,
Yeah.
Mm.
Jack Castle. Another guy from Coach was Peter Furby. And our coaches were Dick Dean and Coach Rudd.
Mm.
Okay.
So Hayter's full national team came down here, and we played them at Devonshire Rack and beat them 2-1. So our first game was against Haiti, youth team.
Whoa.
And hey, they were intimidated by it. They guys looked at, they were like frightened, scared. And we went out there, ran at them, and we went 1-0 up. Then Spike Richardson scored from a free kick. So we leading 1-0. Then second half, we sort of like imploded, and they came back, got some belief, scored a goal, got some belief. Then they ran at us and ended up winning the game 2-1.
Mm.
So our second game, and this was done in Honduras, Central America. Our second game was against Costa Rica. And we battled. We was 2-0 going into the late in the game. And we had an opportunity to go up 3-2. I ran the ball from midfield right into the box and squared it for Charlie Emery, and he scooped it over the top from 6 yards. That would have put us up 3-2.
Whoa.
And they went right down the field and scored, made it 3-2 for them, and they ran our winners 4-2. So we just knocked out. And had we qualified, even qualified one or got in the finals, we would have went into the Youth World Cup.
Mm.
The same World Cup where Maradona was playing in, and Argentina won that Youth Cup 1-0 against Russia. But one guy that was getting all the headlines and all the papers on there, Mexico won it. There was obviously powerhouse.
Right.
It was Hugo Sanchez. He was at the same tournament in Mexico.
Mm.
Yeah, he went on to play for Real Madrid and whatnot. So, but that squad, that was a great squad, and we sort of, we had the ability to do much better than what we did.
Mm. Mm. Final
One
question,
guy,
Dennis?
one guy in particular,
Mhm.
Earn Emery, man. He was exceptional, an exceptional midfield player. Very skillful. I mean, at times also arrogant because he is a guy who will tell you what he's going to do and then do it.
Yeah,
And then,
right.
I was also arrogant and used to say, you come down here, you're going to
Yeah,
get this and you're going to get that.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, he was an exceptional talent. I mean, him, Cleary, like you said, that squad, I just sent Earl a picture of that squad. Like that score was unbelievable, and it's surprising that you guys, didn't,
yeah,
go any further because that was a
yeah.
great
We should
performance.
have. We should have been further. Definitely should have been further. A couple of lapses in defense cost us. In both of the end games actually. You know, and
Before we go, what was it like to score your first your first senior goal at the national level? Because I remember, I think that was when we went to, because I think you and I scored in this game when we went to Bahamas.
Bahamas. Yeah,
Right,
Bahamas.
right, right. What was
Yeah,
what was it like to score your first senior goal? So that's
yeah.
that's a
That was
youth that's a youth score right
yeah,
there. You're talking about right there.
yeah. That's a useful right there. Yeah. It's, um. Hey, it was great, man. I mean, it was typical me in like just putting myself in the box, and see what happens. Um, I think Kevin Deal struck, yeah, Kevin Deal hit the shot and it struck the underside of the crossbar and, you know,
Yeah,
bounced back out. And I was running in, and headed it back in. So, you know, like I said, you just put yourself in and around the box, anything could happen.
yeah, for sure.
And it was great, you know, nothing like scoring girls, no matter if it's a 18-inch tap in or you score from
Yep.
outside the box. Just get that ball over the line. And yeah, and you scored your first
Um,
goal in that game. But that was one um big big disappointment for me was not playing more for the national team because
right, right.
after that tournament they disbanded the
The national team.
national team.
Yeah,
And I was getting into my prime at that stage. Might have had a couple more international games.
right.
And of course, what happened in that tournament, Brian, down in Venezuela. Maybe been Pan American games down in Venezuela. Having our stuff taken out of our changing room and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah,
Yeah,
we had guards with
yeah,
guns at
yeah,
our change room doors, and the room got raided.
yeah. I got
Uh,
rid. But
unbelievable,
like no
unbelievable,
idea. But
unbelievable. Things went missing.
yeah,
Good
but
memories. Those were good memories.
yeah. And I gotta say, and I have a unique thing. My first senior goal was against North Village down at St. David's, their first season.
Okay.
And, they put us 2-1 up against Village, and they equalized. Their game ended up 2-2. And when I played for Village, my first goal that I scored for Village was against Somerset,
Okay.
PhD.
Okay.
Yeah, my first goal that I scored for Hotels was against Somerset on Somerset. Do you
Wow.
remember?
Wow.
I
Are
said,
you
one
captain
day,
in Somerset?
yeah, no, I
I'm
scored against
telling
Somerset.
I'm telling you, like scored against all you and Caddy Thompson. Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah,
So the
no,
question I asked everybody who comes on, what advice? Because I know you watch, the current player. You watch ball now at Somerset.
Mhm.
You watch the current team. What advice would you give these guys to go to the next level? Like, what advice would you give?
plain and simple. Do your extras. Nobody's going to make you great. You got to put yourself in position. So, outsider what you do with your club, you got to do work on your own game. You know, to me, coaching is about, say, preseason. You can identify players' weaknesses, work on them. But as the season gets closer, you want to get the team concept going. So you're not got time to do the individual coaching anymore because you're trying to get the team concept and to gel and how you want to play. So it's up to the players to do their actions, to carry on, work at the end game. You know, that's what we guys used to do outside of regular training. Train by yourself, train with teammates, you know. So for me, it's doing extras. I look at, I'm seeing some games. One thing I can say about us, Dennis, when we was playing, we weren't just footballers, we was athletes. And some of these Sunday games I'm seeing out here, seeing the players running on the field, and, you know, the condition, they would have never lasted in our time and all that there. And that's one word that I've always heard. I heard it from the coaches that I'm played under. Joe Trott, Danny Seymour, Mr. Dan, Coach Trott. You got to be in conditioning. You got to conditioning. Your body's got to be in. That's why when Somerset, whenever we played outside of Aston Villa, Dennis.
Yeah.
When we play against foreign teams and all that there, physically we could match them. We could be right up there. It's just that they have more time to work on their team game, profession. Whereas we're going work, coming home, you know, from a day's work and going training. But what kept us at a certain level, we all worked extra hard and worked on our end. And like I said, when we played the teams, like we could beat the Jamaica Defense Force, we could beat Mexico B, you know, and the teams that we beat, the foreign teams that came in here and playing for Somerset that we beat, or the games were close. Arsenal beat us 1-0. An earned goal by Goody, my good mate Goody.
Yeah.
You know, up at Somerset, you know. Yeah. So we had the fitness, and it all boils down to me, is what you could do in that first, in that circumference of 5 yards, the speed at which you could get the ball down and knock it off. You know, you see professional teams, they're knocking the ball around. You think they're playing slow, but they're actually playing at a high tempo. You see a lot, you know. So, you know, as I said, to me, it's conditioning, doing your extras, and working on what your week at.
Okay.
Brother Kevin, I want to thank you very much for your time this evening, taking us down memory lane with your skipper, Dennis Brown. And, you know, we'll reach out again to get you to come back and even talk more about your time at Somerset Hotels and North Village, because it's very interesting how stories come out. You know, I walk the streets a lot, and a lot of people say, you know, I didn't even know this person done this and this person done that. So I'm pretty sure you've enlightened some people on your time inside the lines and accomplishing some of the things that you've accomplished in your football career. All right?
Right. Yeah.
Brother Dennis?
Yes, brother. Have a good night.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yes, thank you, Earl and Dennis, for having me. And it's been a great pleasure. You know, you called me on short notice, but
you stepped up. You stepped up to the plate,
brother. You answered the call.
You did.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
All right, brother.
Have a good night, folks.
All right.
Good night.